Now, because an alcoholic's mental projections are distorted, the alcoholic's astral body will be distorted. They'll often be around other unfortunates that exist in a joyless, distorted limbo of lost souls until they've become satiated enough to strive for clarity and for some self-control. There's a strange old book called Etidiphorphia that touches on the subject, and many psychics and astral travelers have seen these disgusting negative and lower astral levels that are reserved for persons with no self-control. Etidiphorphia, a very old book, very unusual illustrations. Here's another work by Hieronymus Bosch. Now, there's several fat men in recent history that have been known to weigh about 7,500 pounds, and these Japanese wrestlers are often almost as huge. These wrestlers are selected from large parents at birth, and when they're young, they're fed huge amounts of food until they are adults. Well, thousands of years ago, the Van Allen radiation belt did not block as much radiation as it does at present. The world's climates and food chains were different than today. And giants cannot efficiently live under today's conditions, so they died out. If you look carefully at this girl, on the lower left, you'll see that she has a tail. Velvet Magazine of Hollywood discovered this girl who felt that her tail was a definite asset and did not want it removed. And although we seldom hear of it, dozens and perhaps hundreds of persons have been born with tails. And every year, they're born with tails that are snipped off at birth. This is what a typical infant's tail looks like before it's chopped off now by the doctors in the hospitals. You can ask nurses about this. Now, many tribes of the past had tails, and examples include the Niams of Central Africa, and a tribe in Paraguay, who all had tails which went up to 10 inches in length. And in Gould's Medical Curiosities, there are many examples of both primitive races and modern Europeans with various types of tails. Now, there are many things besides tails that are moved. This tiny boy that was born in 1985 had 3 arms. And this extra arm will be surgically removed eventually when he's a little older. The mother was a 21-year-old Kanana Stefan of Tanzania, Africa. And she was afraid to take this little boy out of the hospital because the local natives wanted to kill the child and considered it a devil for this extra appendage. Well, Mrs. Silver here has a white husband and a black gardener. And after this little event, she lost both her husband and her gardener. July 25th, 1985. Well, one of the most infamous of all freaks was the Elephant Man. There was even a movie made of the Elephant Man in the early 80s. He was born in London. His name was Merrick. And his mother was frightened and shocked by an elephant shortly before his birth, which was supposedly attributed to his problem. Had a proboscis-like projection of his nose and lips, peculiar deformity of the forehead. He was stopped from exhibiting by the police in several cases, and he was plundered of his savings and had a terrible time. These are from Gould's Curiosities of Medicine descriptions. This is J.W. Coffey, and he was billed as the living skeleton by circuses and was in good health with a healthy appetite. And Clemens, on the other hand, had atrophied muscles and was rather sickly. And this is a picture of Clemens as he working in the circus. Many of these thin humans had less than 3 inches between their chest and their spine. Well, today there are millions starving in the world, living skeletons, simply because they haven't fitted into the technological society and been able to be of value to the domination systems that rule this world. Now, these domination systems rule the world with their banking systems and their international manipulations, and they're very good at it. Well, just when things like this start to get you down, and you wonder if humanity is doomed, and if things aren't going to the dogs, then there's something usually comes along and picks you up. You just see that humanity has hope for it after all. What helped to bring a little help to the starvation in Africa was the Live Aid. It's a group of musicians that got together and put a show on. It was a billion-plus audience through TV. They raised $40 million. It was a huge success. They played for 16 hours. Musicians from all over the world came. It's things like this that sometimes make you glad you're a human, part of the human race. Well, moving on through the bizarre, multiple-headed humans are very rare. A case is on record in 1486 of twins who were joined back to back, as in this illustration. A two-headed human was born in Italy in 1540. In 1889, these Orisa sisters were born in India and eventually wound up in Europe on public exhibition. And just to make sure that you don't fall asleep, this is the type of baby that hospitals now dispose of before publicity comes along. It's a half fish, half human from 1929. So, dear heart, we're coming to the end of this little report, and there's a little secret that I'd like to tell you about. The secret is that you're living in a potential paradise.